I have my timer on, Hazel, you'll be pleased to know, but you would not be pleased if I had left it at the first place it stopped, which was 15 hours. I try and stop after 15 minutes because I don't think any of us want to be here at that stage. I work with the Clinical Education Centre in Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland is a smallish country, part of the United Kingdom, 1.8 million of a population, an increasing population of a diverse nature. We have something like 25,000 new births every year, 2,000 children in the Child Protection Register, 2,800 looked after children, 22% of children living in poverty, and a great need for early intervention. And I'm delighted to say that we have a major focus in Northern Ireland on early intervention since 2010. So my background is health visiting, but I've been working in education for the last 13 years, and I now work as a senior education manager. I do believe that our education is a little bit different than what you have throughout England, Scotland, Wales, etc., because we have a departmental funded organisation which provides in-service education to all nurses, midwives and allied health professionals, and we are funded directly by the Department of Health. So that's just a little bit of a background. And I say my background is health visiting, so I was really interested to hear your research and can completely identify with quite a lot of what you said. So our work with Solihull started out in 2010. And that was when we revised our Healthy Child, Healthy Future programme, the equivalent of your Healthy Child programme or promotion programme, Health Child Promotion Programme in England. And in that we recognised we need early intervention, we need infant mental health awareness for all our practitioners. Because whilst people knew about attachment theory, etc., was it really being integrated into practice? We talked about bonding and attachment and loose terms like that. And did people really understand what they were talking about? So the whole focus then went on to this great and wonderful scientific evidence, which I think eventually convinced the policymakers that we do need to do something, that yes, there is this spin-off long-term effect on children and on adults where infant mental health hasn't been good enough. So what we did back then was we looked at what you were doing elsewhere and we discovered there was a great and wonderful model. And the Solihull approach was something that could be easily integrated into practice and wasn't too demanding in many respects, but we do know, of course, it's a bit of a journey and it can be very demanding depending on where people are in that journey. However, we have been implementing that within health visiting, school nursing, community children's nurses, across all varieties of nurses. And that was limited by the funding stream, and I often say that it's our funding streams that actually limit us in our intersectoral, multi-agency, multidisciplinary working. But we did deliver then, and now we have the majority of our health visitors trained, school nurses also, and some midwives, which have been one of our latest groups to bring on board, and we're really excited about that. So, that is a very important aspect of the groundwork because early identification should take place at universal service delivery. And this year, for the first, we have mainstreamed the Solihull Approach Foundation programme into the training of our specialist practice community health visitors. So 60 that have gone through this year. In 2012, there was an audit that took place in Northern Ireland. And I often say to people some of the best opportunities that I've ever had in my career have been when I've been willing to just throw myself at something and not think of consequences. Impulsive from the limbic system. So anyway, an audit landed in my email system by default, completely by default, and they were actually asking the question to see what infant mental health training was being delivered. So this was in 2012, after 2 years already of working with health visitors. And this was for our public health agency, which I think is your equivalent of the health agency or something like that, HEA, would that be right? Anyway, so I completed that audit and said what Solihull Approach could mean in relation to a multidisciplinary, multi-agency audience and all the practitioners there. So the Public Health Agency responded and funded the Clinical Education Centre to deliver for them for 2 years. So in the first year, we delivered to 120 practitioners, 9 from health and social care, 3 from voluntary and community agencies in each group. We didn't always get that ratio as well as what was meant to be, but that didn't matter. We just picked people from who were interested. And actually what I did during that first year, which was a success, I asked the trust that I worked with to identify key people that would take it forward, that would show a vision for the next number of years. So that was the aim. It was always about strategically choosing those first groups that would become champions. So we delivered that, and I actually think I'm missing here, so 120 in the first year and 240 in the first year. We also delivered train the trainers programs, and the idea was as well, because those people would be strategically chosen in the first group, that they would become part of the trainers by the end of year 1, and then that's where the sustainability would become in the trust in year 2, 3 and beyond. So in year 2, year 1 we delivered 10 programs, year 2 we doubled up and delivered 20 programs, and now I'm starting to sound like a politician. You'll be able to double up and produce so many more numbers for you and maximise the investment, etc. But that is what we did because we worked with our trainers in year 2. So as an education consortium, we took the lead in education, maybe a little bit different than some of the models around. But with taking that lead, we also had the education governance that is required within our organisation and the quality assurance, the systems and processes there, mechanisms to evaluate as well. So that was very important for us. I had a coordination role, which I remember talking to Mary about and saying, Mary, I really see the need for this, how am I going to present this? And Mary said, in her very gentle voice, which is so different from my country voice, what about presenting 2 options to them? And option 1, just straightforward education delivery, and option 2, education with coordination. So I presented that first, and then my own director said, put the coordination role first, give them that as the first option, and they chose that. And I have to say, it has been total privilege to work in a fully funded post for part-time in taking Solihull forward. I've really enjoyed it. So why did they choose us to do that? Because it was really about the education and practice model, and this is what we're here to talk about today, the importance of that way of working, of embedding it into practice. And already Public Health Agency could see that a lot of the other programs that were being delivered, there was that loss of training effect, which the further you're away from the actual delivery of the training, the less you think about it. And this was really important about embedding it into practice. So there was also the importance there, I'm just going to skip things that I've covered already, because that's how I do it. Fidelity to the model, that's really important. And I know that you, for example, set out very clearly in the training packs about the importance of that fidelity and how it should be rolled out and how there shouldn't be any major tweaks or turns, etc. And vital to the whole process has been liaison with Hazel and with Mary. And I know that whenever Ivor comes through to Solihull, would Mary or Hazel be available? I know they're probably thinking, half our call, no less. And it always is, because there's been great liaison and it's been really important in infrastructure, and I thank you for that. The coordination role working with trusts, agencies and the Public Health Agency has been part of that 18.5 hours, and that's where we really work together. And what I have recognised is that each trust, we've just 5 in Northern Ireland, but each trust was at a different level of readiness to embrace this way of working. And that actually is all part of containment. And recognising that I looked for the champions, I looked for any infant mental health groups, any project groups that were about, that didn't exist. I pushed in a containing way to get them established. And we now have one in every trust, and we also have core working groups, which is focused totally on Solihull. And one of the things that's wonderful about it was recently reorganised. One is that they've actually said Solihull has to be the underpinning model within children's services, but also for our staff. Very important. It is a partnership between education and practice, so this year we have worked with trainers in developing that capacity, because that's our long-term sustainability. What we did as well, we have over 50 trainers, Solihull trainers in Northern Ireland, so for a small country that's not bad. What we did a couple of Christmases ago at our regional event, we did an evaluation of our trainers and recognised that quite a lot of them had never taken through a full set of practice sessions or delivered the Solihull training. So we wanted to identify how we could support that and build up capacity. So we made a point then of inviting them to shadow with us when we delivered 2 days and then co-deliver with us on a subsequent training event, so that all of them had, as far as possible, at least one opportunity. Where am I time-wise?
Well, you're all right.
All right. So, knowing that we will pick up after, I'm going to just do a wee quick overview of the Solihull post-practice session evaluation. We recommend 4 practice sessions. I would love to recommend more, but we started with health visitors, and they said we couldn't afford more than 4. So unfortunately, I took what they said because I was working with them in partnership, and that became the standard. However, we've squeezed in the importance of at least 2 more in the following year. This was a result of post-practice session evaluations, and we took 10 groups for our sample, 10 consecutive groups. So we had 121 in number, and we got 78 responses to our questionnaire, which I think is pretty good. So we asked some questions. Has the Solihull approach made a difference or brought together your previous knowledge of different theories around the emotional development of infants and children? And hey ho, 97% said yes, it had. No surprises there. The comments would have been that it was helpful in awareness of brain development and its relationship with emotional development. Better understanding containment, reciprocity and behaviour management. Valuable to have the knowledge of theory and science. That was really the importance of the infant brain development. Highlights the importance of understanding and applying theory in child development practice. I think that's a big thing. A lot of people didn't make the links of the importance of early brain development. And we were with practitioners from 0 to 18 from all different services. So we had social workers, we had children's disability, we had looked after children's nurses, social workers, lots of different agencies from not daycare, but nurseries where they would maybe be social services supported, places in there. So a great variety. So a lot of people were first really making these links between early brain development and actually starting to understand why that child was as that child is because of the poor start in life. Has the Solihull Approach Foundation made a difference to how you work with families? And again, this is brilliant because it says 91%. And 9% said no, possibly because they already were working that way. And a lot of people are. That's part of the assurance that we give at the beginning of any training. Some of the comments, just scan it there, I'm going to just move on. But I think just importantly, it says it's helping not to jump into situations. And that's an aspect that's very protective for practitioners as well. We've just touched on that today. We can't forget about our practitioners. We can't forget about how overwhelmed they are. And this is certainly very clear in case study reflection that it does help in that respect. This is very interesting because sometimes when you're there doing practice sessions, it doesn't feel like you're getting this number of people, but we did ask how many they had attended. So remember that this was 69 respondents. And we had some who had, we also get an overlap from other groups that come in. I'll talk about that just in a second. Or maybe leave that to later in questions. But anyway, we had 55 who had attended 3 to 4, so we were really pleased about that. So that's a good number. And really by that stage, it is a journey. And by that stage, most people are starting to really integrate the theories to practice. Usefulness of the model, and as you can see, 2/3 said very useful and 1/3 useful. And again, a very small percentage didn't feel it was useful. I think the whole multi-agency is very, very important, learning from each other. And what we do in practice sessions now with our trainers, again, to give them a supportive development of practice, we shadow the first two with them. So we maybe lead, and we also have this practice session toolkit. We actually follow a teaching plan. Now, I don't want that to sound very prescriptive, it's not. The 2 hours are ring-fenced for practice sessions. First hour is reflective practice. Everybody comes prepared to take part. Day 2 of the training programme, we agree with the group the issues or the topics that they want to focus on from the resource pack, because they will never get to grips with that resource pack unless there's a focus. So we get people to focus on that, to do an overview, and then the other part of that duo does a case study. And that's a written up case study that is shared with the whole group. Now, it might sound a bit prescriptive, actually works brilliantly. And we get all sorts of varieties and all sorts of levels of input, and we don't put pressure for any type of input except to go with the topic and to ensure that people know what's happening. So we develop that to support our facilitators. Then they finish the 4 themselves, so we back out them because we can't possibly be in all of them. And then we do a post-practice session with evaluation and draw statistics on that. Use of the resource pack, and I think that it's something we need to remind ourselves. It costs £75. We try as far as possible to have one each or one between 2. And do they use the resource pack? 97% said yes. And are they using handouts with parents? They use there's great use of the assessment form in a variety of different ways. I couldn't go through all of those ways because it would bore you, and I don't have time. These are our next steps. So I said to folks today, I actually wasn't that terribly nervous until I was told about being videoed. But this morning I'm more nervous about the workshop I have tomorrow morning. So we're actually having a workshop which is the end of our 2 years. My coordination role finished yesterday, very sadly. And the workshop tomorrow is about the trusts coming to say what their direction is for next year. And hopefully PHA funding some extra work. But we do have, we're moving into a new phase with midwives. Thank you folks for your attention.